Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you 5 products that you don't necessarily need. This is not to say that the products aren't great, it's just that they're maybe not necessary or there is an alternative option available. First up we have the Freckle Me products. This is just one that I'm showing you, but I am referring to all freckle based products that are specifically made for creating faux freckles. This one is by Revolution. I love the applicator, I love the fact that it is a nice dark brown, and this would work beautiful as an eyeliner, but just not for freckles. If you watch my tutorials, you'll know now and again I do pop on some faux freckles. Since using a lot of retinols, my natural freckles have disappeared. But you'll notice that when I do them, compared to a lot of the people that do them on social media, is that they are barely visible. They are there just to break up the appearance of a full coverage foundation, or to simply enhance a naked skin. The problem I have with a product like this is, as you can see, it's super duper intense, and freckles aren't like that in real life. The majority of freckles are not like that in real life. Whereas I like to use something like an old eyeliner pen. It's not something that I've then had to go out and repurchase, and although it's no good as an eyeliner anymore, it doesn't need to go in the bin. Instead, it's great for faux freckles. So for me, an alternative would be to make use of a product that I can no longer use as the originally intended purpose. This one kind of goes against me as a person, but you do not need an abundance of cream blushes. You just really do not. I have a ton of cream blushes and I do love the ones that I've got, but they aren't necessary. They really aren't. Essentially, a cream blush is basically the same as a lipstick. A lot of lipsticks have been formulated to moisturize your lips to keep them hydrated, but also to maintain the colour. It needs to still be long wearing at the same time as moisturizing or hydrating your lips. So whether you're going for something that's more moisturizing, a matte finish, or something that's more like a satin, you can still use these on your lips and your cheeks. Whereas I find a cream blush on the lips doesn't tend to wear quite as well as a lipstick. So on the right we have a cream blush. This one is by Huda Beauty, very beautiful. It's got a slight sheen to it. As you can see, when it blends out, it is still lovely and creamy, but it's not quite as pigmented and as blendable as the lipstick here on the left, which is a bareMinerals one. Now, even though it is quite pigmented, it still does blend away to a very subtle wash of colour, and this will just last longer because it's made to last on the lips. So I'm going to do the same with more of a liquid blush. This one is by Revolution. And then I have a liquid lipstick. This one's actually more of a matte finish, but I'm going to show you how beautifully it works as a matte blush. So whether you are going for something that's more dewy or you want something more matte, you can still achieve this with a lipstick. I apologise that I sound so stuffy. I currently have COVID, so I'm still trying to make sure that I get the content out there for you, even though I am a little under the weather. So this is the liquid blush, which is really beautiful. It's lovely and creamy. The problem that I have with it is it just doesn't last as long. And again, the pigment isn't quite as high. This one is, as I said, a long wear, more mattifying liquid lipstick. Because it is for the lips, it's still got moisturising properties to it, so it isn't going to be drying on your cheeks, and as you can see, it definitely doesn't go patchy. It's so beautiful, and it really does, again, blend out to just a wash of colour. So it's not necessary to buy a lipstick and a cream blush when you could just use your lipstick. The next one for me is more of a no-no, in my opinion. It's not something I would ever reach for. This is the Hula Glow. It is very beautiful. I would use it more as an eyeshadow rather than on the skin. I don't know how often you catch a tan where it leaves you with gold shimmer in your skin, but I would only ever maybe use this maybe down like the centre of your legs to make them look a little bit longer, or maybe on the bony parts of your décolletage. For me, I just think it's an unnecessary purchase. If you're going to use a bronzer, you should use a matte bronzer so that you can really warm up the skin to make it look like a natural tan, and then add glow to the high points of the face, not all over. The other issue I have for the face with this, if you can see, even just looking at it on my fingers, the glow will always emphasise fine lines and wrinkles. Whereas the middle finger you can see is more matte, so it's not emphasising as many lines. Of course, it is still very beautiful and would work so lovely to give a bronzy finish to the skin if you put this over your eyelids, because as you can see it's got a little bit of a golden shimmer to it, but I wouldn't necessarily purchase something so big just as an eyeshadow. I definitely wouldn't be putting this on in the same areas that you bronze the skin, because unless you have like 3-year-old skin where you got no texture, no fine lines, this will do nothing for you. Comparing the two, where you got the glowy side on the right, you can really see the skin texture because of that glow. So when you put quite a strong light against it, you can diminish the appearance of the skin texture, which is why it looks great on camera phones, but it doesn't look very good in the flesh. These are other products for me that have no real value. I love this Too Faced packaging, it's really pretty, but having the bananas in a slightly different yellow and having the other powder as a slightly more beige tone to give a banana finish overall, it's just a gimmick. There's no value in buying something like this. I'm just showing you this one as an example. There are a ton of them out there and I just feel like people buy into it. They tell you that there are colour correcting properties to them, and lots of them are just no good. These little ones by Stila, they're quite handy because they've got a variety of different shades in there, but how often are you actually going to reach for an individual shade in this palette and use it? When it comes to colour correcting, for me it's going on underneath the foundation or on top of the foundation as a liquid based product. This isn't something I'm going to be reaching for in terms of a powder. The yellow, for instance, is great for purple undertones, but this alone is never going to be enough. You would still need to use a colour corrector underneath, and then a normal translucent setting powder would work fine over the top. For those of you that know me well, I think you would not be surprised to know that a frosted highlighter is on the list of products that you definitely do not need. I rarely ever reach for these kind of products. I find that they are too chunky, and unless you have immaculate skin and you are very, very young, these are no good for anybody apart from the inner corners of the eyes. It's not to say I've never used them, but I just want to show you an example. Look what happens when I swatch them. I'm going to show you in reverse just so you can see, and then I'm going to pause it. When the skin's stretched, it looks beautiful. But as soon as I release it, and the skin on my arm is not particularly old and baggy, you can see that the frosted chunkiness of these kind of highlighters does nothing for skin texture. And again, I don't want you to be fooled by what you see on Instagram and under bright lighting, because when you see even the most immaculate skin in the flesh, it still takes it from being super smooth to looking ever so slightly crepey. And that's fine because skin is skin, but I just feel like they are not going to do me justice. Something like a liquid highlighter, especially the one by Lisa Eldridge, which you know I'm a fan of because it's got an ingredient in it that tightens the skin. When it goes on, you can see it doesn't do the same thing. It doesn't have that frosted finish to the skin. Instead, it adds a highlight, but it's a lot softer. It's generally more forgiving. And you can layer these products if you want more of a beaming glow, because obviously the frosted ones do give a bit more of a frosted finish, a bit more of a obvious glow from a distance, but it is at the sacrifice of that skin texture. Once again, I am a makeup artist. I do have these in my kit. There are places for these, but I just feel like in general, there are better products you could spend your money on. You'll know that I often reach for something like this, which is a cream blush, which again, you could reach for a lipstick instead because it's got that creamy finish to it, that it bounces the light back. And because there's no shimmery particles in it, it's mattifying, but it has a glow, so it doesn't emphasize the skin texture. Another one is by Vive, which I've just demonstrated her frosted highlight, but this is the Skin Nova. And although it's classed as a primer, I wouldn't necessarily use it for that because I don't like glow primers, but I do like it as a liquid highlight. This one's very, very gold, so you can still achieve the same goldness that you get with the frosted highlights, but in a much more forgiving texture. So that rounds up my 5 products that you do not need. I hope you found it useful. What are some of the products that you feel are unnecessary or that you don't reach for that I can feature in a future version of this tutorial? Let me know down in the comments section below. Don't forget to come follow me outside of YouTube over on Instagram at ShowMeMakeup, and I will see you on Sunday with a full face makeup tutorial. Bye guys!